What if the single most powerful thing you could do for your blood sugar wasn't found in a gym, a pill bottle, or a complicated diet, but in the quiet 3 hours right after you finish eating while you're simply sitting in your favorite chair? It sounds backwards, I know. We've all been told that lower blood sugar means harder workouts and stricter rules. But the science says something gentler and frankly far more hopeful for you. I'm Dr. Richard Collins, and after decades spent studying how the aging body handles food, energy, and metabolism, I can tell you that what happens after your meal matters just as much as what's on your plate. If you watched my last video, where I walked you through hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, its symptoms, its risks, and how to protect yourself, you already know I don't deal in scare tactics. I deal in evidence. So here's some. In 2022, researchers at the University of Houston, publishing in the journal iScience, discovered a single small movement that reduced post-meal blood sugar by 52%. 52% while sitting down. Before we go further, I want to hear from you. Drop your age in the comments right now and tell me, do your numbers climb after dinner? You're not alone, and you're in exactly the right place. Today, I'll walk you through the 4 most powerful after-meal moves to lower your blood sugar, ranked from foundational to absolutely life-altering. We'll build from the simplest habit you can start at your very next meal, all the way up to that 52% move at number 1. And whatever you do, do not skip to the end, because number 1 only works the way it should once you understand the 3 steps that come before it. Let's begin with number 4. Here's something almost no one tells you. The order in which the food enters your mouth can change your blood sugar more than you'd ever guess, even when the meal itself stays exactly the same. The mechanism is beautifully simple. When you eat your vegetables and protein first, and save the bread, rice, or potatoes for last, that fiber and protein form a kind of soft mesh in your stomach. Carbohydrates then have to slow down, trickling into your bloodstream instead of flooding it. Your stomach empties more gradually, and your gut releases hormones that tell your pancreas to handle the incoming sugar calmly rather than in a panic. This isn't a theory. In 2015, endocrinologists at Weill Cornell Medical College, publishing in the journal Diabetes Care, fed the very same meal to people with type 2 diabetes in 2 different orders. When vegetables and protein came before the carbohydrates, blood sugar was about 29% lower at the 30-minute mark, 37% lower at 60 minutes, and 17% lower at 2 hours. Same food, same calories, just a different order. And back in 2013, Japanese researchers from Osaka Prefecture University and Kyoto, writing in the journal Diabetic Medicine, used continuous glucose monitors to confirm that eating vegetables before carbohydrates flattened those sharp glucose spikes across the whole day. Now, why does this matter more as you age? After 50, and especially after 60, your pancreas tends to release insulin a little slower, and your muscles become more resistant to it. That means a fast carbohydrate flood hits you harder than it did at 30. The spike climbs higher and lingers longer. Reordering your plate gives your slower system the head start it needs. Picture someone like Margaret, 64, who loved her evening pasta and watched her readings creep upward year after year. Without giving up a single food she loved, she simply ate her salad and chicken first and her pasta last. Within weeks, her after-dinner spikes were noticeably gentler. That's the kind of change you can start tonight at 0 cost. To put this into practice immediately, at your next meal, eat your non-starchy vegetables and your protein first. Wait 10 to 15 minutes, then enjoy your starches. And here's your first synergy tip. Hold on to it because this trick pairs powerfully with number 1. When you slow your carbohydrates down with food order and then activate the right muscle afterward, the effect compounds. But before we get there, there's something you can add to that very same meal that makes the carbohydrates even gentler. That's number 3. If number 4 was about the order of your food, number 3 is about adding one humble, almost free ingredient that's been sitting in kitchens for centuries: vinegar. The active compound is acetic acid, and it works on your blood sugar in 2 clever ways. First, it slows down the enzymes that break starch into sugar, so the carbohydrates release more gradually. Second, and this is the remarkable part, it appears to make your muscle cells more sensitive to insulin, helping them pull sugar out of your blood more efficiently in the hours after you eat. The landmark work here comes from Dr. Carol Johnston and her team at Arizona State University. Published in 2004 in Diabetes Care, they gave people a vinegar drink before a high-carbohydrate meal. In those who were insulin resistant, the pre-diabetic group, insulin sensitivity improved by about 34%. In people with established type 2 diabetes, it improved by roughly 19%. A later 2017 systematic review and meta-analysis in Diabetes Research and Clinical Practice pooled dozens of trials and confirmed the same direction. Vinegar before a carbohydrate meal meaningfully blunts the glucose and insulin response in both healthy and metabolically struggling people. Why does this become more valuable with age? As insulin resistance naturally rises after 60, your body needs every bit of help getting sugar out of the bloodstream and into your cells. Vinegar gives your aging insulin system a quiet assist, no prescription required. Picture someone like Harold, 68, who didn't want to give up his beloved morning toast. He started taking 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar diluted in a large glass of water about 10 minutes before breakfast. His morning numbers, which used to surge, began rising more gently. A small habit, a real difference. To do this safely, mix 1 to 2 teaspoons, working up to a tablespoon of any vinegar into a full glass of water, and sip it 5 to 10 minutes before a carb-heavy meal. Always dilute it to protect your teeth and stomach. And if you take blood sugar medication, check with your doctor first. Here's the synergy. Combine the vinegar of number 3 with the food order of number 4, and you've now slowed your carbohydrates 2 different ways before they even reach your blood. But food tricks can only take you so far. The next move taps into something far more powerful, your own muscles. That's number 2. Now we move from your plate to your legs. When you walk after eating, your working muscles do something extraordinary. They pull glucose out of your blood without even needing insulin to do it. Contracting muscle opens a separate doorway for sugar called the GLUT4 pathway, which keeps working even when your insulin response is sluggish. That's why a gentle stroll right after a meal can flatten a spike that medication alone might struggle with. The timing is everything, and the research proves it. In 2016, Dr. Andrew Reynolds and colleagues at the University of Otago, publishing in the journal Diabetologia, found that walking just 10 minutes after each meal lowered post-meal blood sugar by about 12% on average compared to walking at random times. And the benefit jumped to a striking 22% after the evening meal, the one most loaded with carbohydrates. And in a study built specifically for older adults, Dr. Loretta DiPietro at George Washington University, writing in Diabetes Care in 2013, showed that 3 short 15-minute walks after meals controlled blood sugar over 24 hours just as well as 1 long 45-minute walk, and worked even better after dinner. This matters enormously after 60. DiPietro's team specifically chose adults age 60 and older because that's exactly when post-meal spikes become most dangerous, and when shorter, gentler bouts of movement feel far more doable than one exhausting workout. You don't need speed, you don't need a gym, you just need to move soon after you eat. Picture someone like Eleanor, 71, who found a 45-minute daily walk too much for her knees. Instead, she took 3 easy 15-minute strolls, one after each meal, often just around her garden or down the block. Her 24-hour readings steadied, and her evenings, once her worst time, became her best. To start today, after each meal, especially dinner, take a 10 to 15-minute easy walk. No rushing, just a comfortable pace within an hour of eating. Pair it with errands or walking the dog if that helps you stick with it. And here's the synergy that sets up our finale. Walking activates your big leg muscles, but there's one specific muscle deep in your calf that can do the job even longer, even while you're seated, and with more than double the glucose-lowering power. That muscle is the secret behind number 1. This is the one I promised you at the very beginning, and it may be the most surprising thing you learned today. Deep in your calf sits a small muscle called the soleus. It makes up only about 1% of your body weight, yet it has a hidden superpower. Unlike almost every other muscle, it can burn through blood sugar and blood fats for hours without tiring. And it does this best not when you're running, but when you gently activate it while seated. Researchers found a way to switch it on with a simple seated movement they named the Soleus push-up. Here's the headline study. In 2022, Dr. Mark Hamilton and his team at the University of Houston, publishing in the peer-reviewed journal iScience, had people perform this seated movement after a sugary drink. The results stunned even the researchers. A 52% reduction in the post-meal blood sugar spike and 60% less insulin required to handle that same sugar. Hamilton himself noted they knew of no medication, no diet, and no other exercise that raises and sustains this kind of metabolism while you simply sit. And in 2024, a follow-up pilot study in people with prediabetes found roughly a 32% reduction in their glucose response, confirming it helps exactly the people who need it most. Why is this a gift for older adults? After 65, prolonged sitting becomes more common, and post-meal spikes become more harmful. Yet, vigorous exercise feels harder and riskier. The Soleus push-up sidesteps all of that. It demands no standing, no strain, no sweat. You can do it watching television, reading, or sitting at the table after your meal. Picture someone like Frank, 73, who spent long evenings in his recliner and watched his numbers climb. He learned to keep his soleus gently working while he watched the news, and his after-dinner readings settled in a way nothing else had managed without effort. Here's exactly how to do it. Sit with your feet flat on the floor and your knees bent at about 90 degrees. Keeping the front of your foot planted, slowly raise your heels as high as you can, then lower them back down. A slow, steady, rhythmic motion, like a relaxed calf raise done sitting. Aim for a comfortable, continuous rhythm for as long as you like. The research had people do it for hours while seated, but even regular sessions after meals help. Now bring it all together. Eat your vegetables and protein first, add your splash of vinegar, take a short walk when you can, and keep that soleus quietly working while you sit. 4 moves stacked, turning the 3 hours after every meal into your most powerful medicine. So let's bring it home. Number 4, change your food order. Vegetables and protein first, carbohydrates last, and you slow the sugar before it ever hits your blood. Number 3, a diluted splash of vinegar before carb-heavy meals gently blunts the spike and helps your insulin work. Number 2, a short, easy walk after meals lets your muscles pull sugar out of your blood without waiting on insulin. And number 1, the Soleus push-up. That quiet, seated movement that dropped post-meal blood sugar by 52%. The most powerful of them all and the easiest to do sitting down. Here's what I most want you to carry with you. It is never, ever too late. Whether you're 55 or 85, your body responds to these moves. Improvement and prevention are genuinely possible at any age. The research proves it, and so can you. Now, I have a question for you, and I read these comments. Which of these 4 will you start first? And what's your single biggest challenge in keeping your blood sugar steady? Tell me below. If this helped you, please like this video, subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and share it with someone you love who needs to hear it. Remember, the smallest move made right after your meal can change the entire course of your health. Start today. Your future self is already grateful.